in the proceeds, much of the proceeds of this space go towards scholarships at Rollins College. So it's an amazing facility that I think personally is made better by a world-class art collection that we're so proud to be also in the collection of the Alfond Arts Museum. So Abby, do you want to start us off and say a few words about either the works here or just the collection in general?
Absolutely. So Barbara and Ted Alfond, as Amy said, thought long and hard about what would be meaningful in a college campus, what kinds of works would help add to an educational experience, and the notion was developed of a visual syllabus. If you could bring together works of art that created, in a way, a template that mapped along a liberal arts education that engaged not only with these world-class works of art in a variety of media, but ones that also touched on topics about humanity today, whether it's identity or politics, the environment, communication, so that those who came into encounters with these works of art would be opened up to a new way of thinking and the development, we say, of a global citizenry. And it's true both for the students who come frequently here with families, but also for the faculty and for the community of Winter Park and Beyond. Is this work by Hadia Shafi, and it's, if you follow and listen to this audio guide, you'll hear Barbara Alfond speak very lovingly about this work of art, because not only is it a beautiful work, not only does it reference modernism, pointillism, and sort of the circularity of our world, in these single scrolls of paper that are hand-colored, there's this one single one that's been turned here on our side, and you can see a bit of the calligraphy that's embedded within. Every single one of these scrolls is written again and again the word Esh, which means love. And so in this work by Hadia Shafi, as Barbara says, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. So much of this collection, so much of Barbara and Ted's passion is to help us become more unified. And this work of Hadia Shafi, which looks back to her life and growing up, her own history, does bring us to the notion of love.
And before you turn to go down the hallway. This space here, this is one of the newer pieces that we just recently installed last week. It's by Sandra Ramos. It's one of 5 works in the collection, 4 prints and 1 video by Sandra Ramos. You can also see there's an extra label here, and it says Fractured Narratives, a strategy to engage. We've added extra labels. Abby and I have added extra labels to works in the installation at the end that we feel relate to our Gonzalo's Buen Mayor. He's from Colombia, but he has lived here in the United States for several decades. And he says, he feels neither completely Colombian nor wholly American anymore. He sort of operates in that liminal in-between space of identity. He here, of course, is appropriating a very well-known pop culture icon. Instead of 20th century Fox, we have God Bless Latin America. The Latin interrupting the famous song title, God Bless Latin America. Also serving as a reminder that, Americans are not just people who reside in the United States, but of course there are the Americas, and anyone who inhabits or lives in the Americas could be called an American. These works, these are 2 of 3 paintings in the collection by Carmen Herrera, and they're recent from 2013.
Contemporary artist Kobe Mould. If you get close, you'll see, like some of, actually in great contrast to, as Amy pointed out, to the Herrera, does very much engage in the mastery of painting. As you look at it, it almost feels like a classical American landscape. You have this beautiful mastery of painting the canopy of the trees and the sky and this very realistic portrait of a figure. The more you look at the work, the more you see that the figure is the same figure repeated in various moments throughout the form. The figure, in fact, is the self-portrait of the artist Kobe Mould, who is an artist who went through a gender transformation, and this artist actually was a part of the survey. You may have heard of the Crystal Bridges Museum that is open in Arkansas, which is founded by Alice Walton, and they've gone through a tremendous survey of all American cities looking for great, exciting contemporary artists of today, and Kobe has a work in that opening that just came to be. But what you'll see is that the artist is depicting himself exploring in the playground. It's both at once lyrical and playful, but also pensive. And you can imagine for someone who has gone through a moment of seriously questioning identity, of transforming identity, of claiming an identity, that this concept of sort of both playing with yourself in a joyful way, but also that search. You know, when children are in a playground, that is a moment where they discover independence, where they discover who they want to be in the world. And so Moles has really used that as a metaphor for some of his life experiences. And so you have both the content, but also the mastery of the medium itself of painting. Laid out using these abstract forms, a landscape of sorts. There's the blue of the sky, there's a sense of a stage in the middle. Chavez has, over the course of his career, thought very much about iconography, certain gestures, certain forms that he will keep again and again in his bodies of work. Some that you'll find are number one, here you see it inverted, the water drop on the top, the cube, the stage, that almost tongue-like or flag-like fixture form at the top left. So one of the things is he has this lexicon, a personal lexicon, and you can see more of this in another work down the hall, that he returns to again and again. And even though this is a two-dimensional work, it's paint on canvas and very flat, there's so much sculptural dimension to these forms. You can see that he's really building volume and helping your eye sort of move.
Tracy and using neon as a medium. Here, one of the things I think that stands out immediately about this work, beyond its phrase, Everything for Love, is that it's script, that it was script or handwritten. If you go piece over the reception desk, you may have noticed this very controlled font. But here what we're actually seeing is the artist's handwriting. This particular passage and most of the writings that emerge in Tracy Emin's neon works are taken from her own writings, her diaries, her journals. Her work is incredibly personal. It's been called confessional art. It's been called over the top and extreme because she came of age at a time where there were artists working in London in the 1980s who have so been called the Young British Artists, or YBAs. She's now in her 50s, but that name has never left her. She's still considered a YBA.
And art collections are defined by the institutions and by the individuals that help bring them together. And you know, one of the unique things about the Alfond Collection of Contemporary Art, it is very much informed in terms of wanting to have robust, as we say, world-class works of art for the museum, for the history preserved. But it also still, in many ways, is a portrait of the interests, values, and passions of the Alfonds themselves. And so when Barbara, in the first catalog, Art for Rollins, which if you don't have a copy and you need one, please let us know, writes about this work, she talks about in a way that this could be a motto for the marriage that Barbara and Ted have had. And so I think one of the joys of being in this space is that all of these works operate both on an art historical, curatorial level, but they also really operate on a personal level. And at the end of the day, what I think Amy, as a curator of an institution, and me as an independent curator, and the Alfonds, what we want people to experience is that moment of self-reflection and joy and passion that you can have in front of a work of art. And I think very much this work encapsulated that for Barbara and Ted. They stood in front of it. Not only did they know and appreciate the context of Tracy Emin as an artist and how important it was making the work that she makes, but also they had that moment of, there's a connection between us and this piece of art. And that's really at the heart of everything. So, thank you for
trying to find outside the tub.
All right, you ready? We got to regroup.
everybody's going to be able